Hello AI fans, it's James here. In this video I'm going to take you through NotebookLM, an AI-powered research assistant that has just been released for Google Workspace. With NotebookLM you provide the sources, the bits of information that you want the research assistant to use to give you answers back to your questions. So this could be marketing material, it could be PDFs, it could be files that you have in Google Drive, it can be links to websites. They can all be the sources, and it will only use those sources to respond to your questions rather than looking at the whole internet. It will only use those, so it's very specific to exactly what you want and what you want to find out about, and because of that it's less likely to hallucinate or make things up. Once you're on the NotebookLM website, click on the button to create a new notebook and you'll see this page here. This page is where you add your sources, the bits of information that the research assistant will use to respond back to your questions. So I've got a few files that I want to put in here, because I'm going to do a thing called a competitor analysis between two companies. So I've got these two companies, Rafa and Albion, which are both cycling apparel making companies. So I've got their company's house data, accounts from the company's house. I've also got a Wikipedia article for Rafa. There isn't one for Albion. But I'm going to add those into as the sources, and you'll see on the left hand side sources column those files are getting loaded in straight away. I can then add more sources because I want to add the links to their websites, and I do this by clicking on the plus icon in the sources column. This then gives me the option to add data from other sources such as Google Drive. I can add a Google Doc or a Google Slide. You can't add Google Sheets yet, but I imagine that's coming. And you can add a link to a website, and you can also paste and copy and paste text in there as well if you've got some text, random text that you want to stick in as well as a source. For this I'm going to link to their website, and I've got their about pages up here, so I'm just going to copy and paste their about pages as a source. And you can see that's loading in now for Rafa, and let's just do the same thing again now for Albion, because if you're doing a competitor analysis you ideally want to have the same information for both. And once you've got your sources loaded in, you can turn them on and off by putting a tick next to them. As I mentioned, there's only a Wikipedia article available for Rafa. There isn't one for Albion, so I'm going to actually turn that off to make it a bit more of a fair competitor analysis. So we've got the accounts, the company accounts of both companies, and we've got the about pages for both companies. So once you've got your sources loaded in, if you look at the bottom of the page, you'll have an area called Notebook Guide. You may need to click on the Notebook Guide button if it doesn't pop up, but it normally pops up automatically. And it'll give you a summary of the sources that you've attached to your notebook. You can have a quick read of that just to confirm that all the sources you've attached are linked there. Then it gives you some options straight away, so you can help me create an FAQ, a study guide, a table of contents, a timeline, or a briefing doc. So for example, with the FAQ, that will go through the sources and it will work out what questions people most likely ask and give an FAQ back. It's kind of handy, say for example, if you had onboarding new team members for your company and you have onboarding documents, you can put them into NotebookLM and get it to create an FAQ for you. I'm going to get it to create one right now for these documents. Again, you could have that for your onboarding of your new employees, so they can easily find information. They can actually start typing a question if they want to, and it will go through those sources and find things back. So here we go. So here's the FAQ that it has created. So it's done a bit for Rafa and it's done a bit for Albion down here. So that's been just generated from those sources that I provided. Let me minimize that. Any note you create stays on this page forever until you want to delete those notes. Let's go back to the notebook guide, and we could do a briefing doc this time. As you see, it's created a new note here. It will always stay on that page, and it's creating a briefing doc that should have a nice briefing about the two companies, I imagine, when it's created. One thing, don't forget to name your NotebookLM, so you're just clicking this box in the top left to name it, otherwise you'll get a load of untitled notebooks on your NotebookLM homepage. It'll be hard to find the one you're looking for. So here we go, here it's done a briefing document of the two companies, which is nice and handy, a very quick way for you to get hold of a briefing document that you can then use in your business to your competitor analysis in this case. Going back to the notebook guide, you have another area here called audio overview, and this is where it uses AI to create a podcast. It's two AI presenters who will create a podcast based on the sources that you have provided. So click load or generate depending on what you see on your screen, and then that will create and generate a conversation between the two AIs. Normally about 9 minutes long. There you go, 9 minutes 23 for this one. The longest I've seen is up to 16 minutes. Let's hit the play button, you can hear what it's like.
Okay, so buckle up everybody, because today we're diving deep into the world of, well, cycling clothes.
Cycling apparel. Gotta keep it classy.
Right. But seriously, we're talking about the good stuff, Albion and Rafa.
So there you go. It's created a podcast between two people. There are some limitations on this podcast. You have no input in what's actually said, so you can't ask for specific things to be said in the podcast or things not to be said. You also have no choice at the moment over the accent, so it is 2 US English accents. There will be more coming. So it's handy and it's kind of cool. It's a very cool feature, to be fair, and to share that out with people. But you have no say over what's actually being generated. The only thing you can do is if you don't like what's being generated, you can give it a thumbs down or a thumbs up. But you can also hit the delete button, and if you hit delete, you can then generate another one. But again, it's a bit of luck because you don't know what's going to be generated. To be fair, they're normally pretty good and pretty decent, but I have had a couple where the sound is actually mumbled in between them, and I've had a few where they kind of went off topic slightly, but then they did come back, but it was just a bit odd. But anyway, if you're happy with one, you can hit the download button, save that into Google Drive, and then share that with the rest of your team for them to listen to it. And then the final section on the notebook guide you get is suggested questions. So these are just a way to start off a conversation with the AI. If you can't think of your own question, you can type your own question into here and hit the enter button, and it will respond back. But otherwise, you can just select one of these if you want to just start off. So I'm going to select this top question. That's gone in, and it shouldn't take too long for the AI to come back. And remember, all this information is coming just from these sources on the left-hand side here. It's not coming from anywhere else, not coming from the internet or anywhere else apart from the web pages that I linked to. And this is the real nice feature about its responses. Whenever it responds, it cites where it got the information from. So if I hover over one of these numbers, this window pops up and it's telling me where it's got the information from. And this was from the About page on the Rafa website. If I hover over another one, that's the same one. If I hover over another one, this will be from a different location, and this is from the Albion website on the left hand side down here. And if I click on one, it will actually open on the left hand side of the screen and just give you a bit more details of where it found that on the website. And again, this was the About page for the Albion website, but this is the nice thing about it. It always cites where it got the responses from, where it generated its responses from, what information it used from the sources that you have provided on the left hand side. So it's nice and clear. And if you like that answer, you can give it as a save it to note, and that has now been added into my notes collection up here. And finally, the other thing you can do with NotebookLM is you can share it just like you do a Google Doc sheet or slide by clicking the share button in the top right hand corner and entering the email address of the person you want to share it to. Now, there is a limitation on this at the moment. You can only share it with people in the same Google Workspace organisation as you, so basically people in the same company as you. You can't share it externally at the moment. But once you've shared it, you can select the permissions that the person should have, hit the send button, and then they have access to this NotebookLM where they can do more research, or they can start a new conversation, or add sources or remove sources. So it's a very nice way to as I said, do research. This is what it's designed for, to research and help you provide you answers quicker and more efficiently than it would be if you had to do this manually. So visit notebooklm.google.com and give it a go. I think you'll really like it.